I'm really looking forward to walking you through the power of 5. And to build a little bit off of what Jeet mentioned and how we're going to talk a little bit about some of the tactical implications, I think it's very fitting that he talked a little bit about the war of efficiencies, where time is spent. And what I hope to do today is talk a little bit about how Facebook is applying machine learning to clients as a response to how they're dealing with these wars of efficiencies, to really walk through how we're rewriting our marketing playbook using machine learning, and just the tactics that we have built out, known as the Power of 5, and what they can do when they're actually used together. So to really start at a high level and just what we're actually seeing, in recent years, just by show of hands, how many people in the room here are actually managing within user acquisition or are actually in the Facebook platform doing accounts? Yeah. How much time do you think you spend each week going through with optimizations? Actually, a lot of time, a little bit of time, a little bit? A little bit, okay, I got a little bit. So I think what we've found is that within the disruptors industry, and just in general, so much time these days is spent going through these accounts, calibrating the success, optimizing for efficiency. And what we found increasingly is as more time is spent, we're consistently having this question from our partners coming back saying, how can you do more? How can you hopefully provide more in the form of user growth, user acquisition? Or more frequently, we're finding is how can you help the performance of our campaign so we can actually shift the amount of time that we spend on things that are actually more in the creative space or the strategic space, things that machines and data aren't built to do as well as we are. So can we find ways to actually build out tactics using machine learning within our ad platform to actually drive efficiencies, opening up more time for them to actually focus on important things that grows their business and helps them address challenges within their specific industry. And really what that is the Power of 5. The Power of 5 are these game changers not only because they can yield better results, which we all strive to do. We want to make sure that we provide value towards those objectives within different industries. But they also give the team time back to focus on crucial plays that they demand on and not really a machine. So without further ado, these are the Power 5. Auto advanced matching, something we're calling account simplification, campaign budget optimization, also known as CBO, automatic placements, as well as dynamic ads. So the Power 5 work on their own, and over the years, as we've rolled out these tactical implementations to our platform, some have rolled out earlier than others. But what we're finding is that when combined together, we're seeing a supercharge in performance. So now let's dive into each one of these and show some examples and talk through them as well. So the first is auto advanced matching. And really with auto advanced matching, what we're talking about here is the ability to capture hashed customer data, for example, an email address on a website or an action within a specific app, or registration process, checkout. And what we can do with this is we can use identifiers, signals to better match this information with those that are actually on the Facebook platform. Also, what we were really finding here, there we go, there's the build, is that with this signal and this information, we can actually improve upon the accuracy of an actual conversion or a preset action that you're actually building towards depending upon the outcome of a specific campaign. This is done through the Pixel or through SDK, which is installed on mobile devices. The second is account simplification. This is one where we see a great deal of success. When we talk about account simplification, what we're really talking about here is the ability to assess whether the account has duplication as we get into campaign and ad set structures. There we go. Are we actually maximizing the full potential? Are we maximizing the full scale of the solutions that we have built in place? What we're finding is that a lot of different advertisers are overcomplicating. On average, we find across Facebook and Instagram around 5 million different ad sets created each and every day. We're increasingly finding that as we look in and analyze those ad sets, that there are ways to improve upon and simplify that structure. And account simplification is one of those ways we believe you can do so, both at the campaign as well as at the ad set level. So again, what we're talking about here is consolidation. We're talking about creating less campaigns and hopefully doing more and still seeing the same results from those campaigns. Just an example, a case study of someone who's actually leveraged this and seen great success is BOMBAS, a great sock company. And really what they did is, it's a direct-to-consumer company, and what they did is they came to us, they had seen great success on the platform, but they asked that question of how could they actually drive more value. And it was through these conversations and actually looking in that we saw that a simplified account structure would actually result in more purchases and actually just greater performance. So in search of greater efficiency, we applied this simplified structure, and the results, as you can see, 2x the purchases, and is at 23x the purchases per ad set. So looking at the ad sets within campaigns and the comparison between a simplified structure and one that was more complex. So the third is campaign budget optimization, known as CBO. And I would imagine that this one is gained a little bit more notoriety recently, because as we think about standardizing many of this, we're playing around with this idea of actually forcing this out into the system versus more of giving people the opt-in or opt-out. And a lot of this is how can we use machine learning to best optimize and giving the teams more time back to actually focus on other strategic priorities. So with campaign budget optimization, our machine is automatically optimizing and distributing ad spend based off of the top performing ads. It's quite a simple concept that I think many within the buying community can agree is something that drives significant value. And really how we came to this is we found that historically people are actually, they were managing budgets in ad business, were spending a great deal of time going into these particular ad campaigns, whether on a daily or on an hourly or sometimes even a weekly basis, and checking performance frequently, optimizing very, very quickly on the fly, which within our auction and within our system creates some challenges. How can we actually get the most out of a campaign structure? Or how can we actually let our system understand what you're trying to optimize towards and then do that work on your behalf? And so what we've done is we've really rolled this out, campaign budget optimization, to just solve for this inefficiency, the inefficiency of humans going in and optimizing with time spent. Where they should be spending their time is not going in. And we believe by using machine learning and applying it, we can actually increase efficiency over time. And in this instance, in the distribution of the budget based off of the top performing ad within an ad set or a campaign. So really the benefits that we see, and just based off of the conversations that we've had with advertisers and what we've built into this, is maintaining that better performance or maintaining the performance of those campaigns so that we're actually driving value towards a business outcome. The simplicity. Hopefully this is a simplified framework so that there's less of people going in and actually optimizing on the fly, and more trust in the fact that our machine learning within our auction can optimize based off the top performance. And then with that just comes efficiency. So hopefully we're improving ROI, and we're providing savings both at the account management level and then savings of time as well. And just an example of or at least a case study, MOLEKUle, that has actually used this and found great success. A 19% lower cost per purchase and a 1.25% increase in return on ad spend by just turning this on and letting our system optimize. So the fourth of the five, of the Power Five, and one that actually has been around a little bit more, a bit longer as we've looked at Facebook, not only is that blue app, but more of the family of apps and services is automatic placement. Just by show of hands, how many people know the number of placements where one of your potential ads can actually be delivered across the family of apps and services? It's actually 14. So 14 different areas in which we can actually deliver depending upon these preset settings. And really what we want to do is we want to make sure that all 14 of those actual placements are made available. that an individual within your target audience, that consumer who needs to purchase that product, that needs to take that specific action, the ability to reach them regardless where they are across Facebook, Instagram, Messenger, at the moment, the different placements that they have. Let's open up that inventory. And what we basically see is that there's a cost savings play. There's no more of that campaign structuring of let's test out Instagram versus Facebook, Instagram versus Messenger. It's, again, just allowing machine learning to deliver your message to that consumer, to that potential client, depending upon where they are across our apps and services, both Facebook, Instagram, and Messenger. And what we're seeing is that we're seeing cost efficiencies. And then in addition to cost efficiencies, we're just seeing an increase in conversions or performance, which at the end of the day is something that we obviously strive for so that we can bring value to the overall objective of a campaign and hopefully a growth of a business. So again, if we think through the different types of benefits, and there's a bit of a theme here of what we're actually seeing across the Power of Five and how we find these tactics and the use of machine learning bringing benefit to you all, it's performance, scale, and time efficiency. Less time actually in and actually creating these different campaigns and more reliance upon our machine learning tools to actually find the consumers based off of where they're spending their time across our platforms. And I would say an interesting thing, too, when we talk about supercharging performance, we talked about the Power Fives as individual tactics that can be used to help, but in actually combining these as well, as we think of campaign budget optimization, the ability for our systems to actually determine which ad set is performing better than others and actually shift budget towards that, combining that within those ad sets. Which platform is actually delivering greater performance across the family of apps and services. It's a combination of these two where we're finding great success as well. All of it automated, all of it using our machine learning within our auction. Busuu is an example of one that has actually taken this approach of combining both CBO as well as placement optimization. And what we're finding is an increase on ad spend efficiencies as well as a lower cost. In this instance, it was an install for their actual language app. So the fifth, and this is speaking more towards the retail or those with online e-commerce, is dynamic ads. Dynamic ads, simply put, is the ability to actually promote an online catalog in a dynamic nature. And what we mean by that is just leveraging signals and intent based off of that end consumer from what they're browsing. So they're actually on this particular site using the pixel, using their intent of the different products that they're actually browsing, or depending upon where they are in that consumer journey, whether they've actually added to cart or not, leveraging that to dynamically serve up that product or actually products similar to that one as they actually go about their journey across our family of apps and services. So with dynamic ads, as I said, you can promote the entire catalog and make sure that those products are actually purchased depending upon the start of that experience off of Facebook, so on that web property, and then as they actually go throughout that journey across Instagram, Facebook, and Messenger. So for an example of how this works, when someone does, I said, visits that store and say is looking for that hat that we see right there, with that dynamic ads, we're automatically running those ads to make sure that purchase is actually the purchase is actually made, or as I said, a similar product within that catalog as well, to have that experience and those signals communicate for delivery within our auction. And again, the benefits of this tactic, better performance, something that we commonly see across all the Power Five, use and simplicity in actually setting this up, reducing the different iterations and different number of ways that you actually have to go about creating these ad sets to hopefully have this consumer take a specific action using the actual signals. And time efficiency. Again, less time within our system, more time allowing the machine learning and some of these tools that we've built out, finding these individuals for you. And just an example of a case study of someone finding success with this, Primary. And what they're finding is that a 60% CPA, and then a 2.5% click-through rate when it's actually positioning products that have already been searched upon and leveraging that signal of the consumer from their actual web.com. So lower cost and higher engagement. So coming back to these Power 5, as I said, individually, great resource in actually leveraging machine learning. But it's the combination of auto advanced matching, account simplification, campaign budget optimization, also known as CBO, automatic placements and dynamic ads is the combination of those things and supercharging performance and really relying upon our system to actually automate that so that time efficiencies and time can be spent in other more pressing strategic areas where we're finding success. And with that, I'd like to thank you and turn it back over to Jeet.
So what is one advice you would have for someone who's starting up, let's say, a mobile app? And I mean, for one of the first places people look to spend is on Facebook. And one advice for a mature company in the life cycle, who has done a lot of Facebook ads, or is CBO and things like that going to change everything? Just like how people should distribute their spending when they're, let's say, a startup, on what ads, what types, mid-ROAS, this, that, whatever you can sort of highlight.
So I think for the first one, the question for someone starting within the space, the Power 5 and the tactics we talked about there, someone, say, are more on the media side. I would say for anyone starting, the biggest mistake that we see is that measurement isn't set up. I think it's very, very important that understanding value and measurement, so whether that's an SDK or letting pixels on the platform, is the number one mistake that we see. So I would say that making sure that events are set up so that when you're looking at your mix of media and you're looking where you're investing, you have the ability to understand the value that we bring versus a competitor. And in some instances, I hope that we're bringing the greatest value, and I hope we can turn to the Power 5 to hopefully increase upon that value. But it's only through that measurement and that setup that we'll actually have an understanding and be able to partner with people to hopefully achieve the outcome that's important to their business. I think overwhelmingly, we can talk about the Power 5 and we can talk about these tactics that we reviewed today, but it's only in understanding what a particular startup, an app, where that game is in the life cycle. It's only in understanding what's important to them, where those challenges are, that we can begin to leverage these tactics with the very Facebook-specific acronyms and making them meaningful to them. I like talking about CBO, but I'd rather talk about incremental growth. I'd rather talk about how we're reducing the cost or how we're actually driving someone through at a deeper level of the life cycle of an app. How do we go from someone just installing it to actually have them playing in repetition? Or how do we have someone who had installed it re-engage them? The things that are important to growth and that are less about Facebook and are more about the value that it brings to an organization and the growth of a company.